Howdy folks, we're going to start and finish the cover for the Spring Flora using the Flora number 3 by Jen Allison. This paper collection is by Cartabella. And this album is a little different from some of the ones that I've done in the past. I've done square shaped albums and I've done portrait albums. This one is landscape. Let me give you the measurements for these pieces. So the chipboard is a 5x8 or 8 inches wide by 5 inches tall. Yep. For the front and back cover, and the spine is 2 inches wide by 5 inches tall. These two pieces are going to go inside and mat the inside of the spine, and they are 7 inches wide by 4 1/4 inches tall. This is the binding, and that is 7 inches wide by 4 1/4 inches tall. I thought that was weird. This one is 4 3/4 inches tall by 7 3/4 inches wide. So the inner mats are going to be, 7 3/4 by 4 3/4. There's 2 of those. And of course there's 2 of the front and back chipboard. And these cover wraps are 22.5 inches wide by 7 inches tall. There's 2 of those, and this is all 65-pound cardstock so far. And this is going to wrap around the spine. It's 5 inches wide by 7 inches tall. And then the spine wrap, the mat for it, I'm actually going to come all the way over the top of the spine for this one. And it is 5 1/4 inches wide by 7 inches tall. And the mats for the front are 6 1/4 inches wide by 6 1/4 inches wide by 4 3/4 inches tall. So we're going to start with some double-sided tape, piecing the wrap together. Because it's so wide, I don't have any papers that are wide enough to wrap this album with, so that's why it's taking 3 pieces of cut from 8.5 by 11 together. And I'm going to use double-sided tape for that, and also put some double-sided tape on the joints for the chipboard so that when the album is flexing, it doesn't buckle up. And then after that, we'll go ahead and mat the spine and add the binding piece. You know what? I didn't go over where the score marks are going to be on the binding. So this binding is 7 inches wide, and the score marks are going to be, I'm going to find the binding on here. There we go. At 1.5 inches, we're going to have 1.5 inch margins on both sides. So 1.5 inches and 5.5 inches will be the last one, and then every 1/2 inch from 1.5 inches to 5.5 inches. And there will be a total of 3 fins for this album. My thinking is that since this is a spring album, every month will have its own hinge basically at the end of it. Everything's dry. At least I certainly hope so, because I stopped recording and went to work for 10 hours. So let's get started on the inside of the cover. So we're going to add 2 flaps, one on each side. The dimensions on the flaps are 5 inches squared, and we're going to score one of the 5-inch sides at 1/2 inch. And the mat for these flaps are let's see, 4 1/4 by 4 3/4. And we're also going to have a couple of pockets. The dimensions on the pockets are 6 inches wide, which we're gonna score at 1/2 inch and 5 1/2 inches, by 2 3/4, which we're gonna score at 1/2 inch. And the mats for the pockets are, I'm gonna have to actually pull out help if I start at 0 and not 12. 1 3/4 by 4 3/4. So we've got 2 of those, and we're also going to do a Got an edge punch. So we're gonna punch the edges on these. And we've also got 2 tags. The measurements on the tag are 6.5 by 4.5, and the mats are 6.25 by 4.25, and the mats for the base page. They should overall be 7.75 by 4.75. However, I trimmed them a little bit short. They are actually 4.5 inches. So I'm gonna add a strip at the bottom. This is trimmed to 3/4 by 7. Yeah, I think so. 7.5 actually. So 4.75 by 7. That's 3/4 of an inch by 7.5, and we'll make that work. The border punch that I'm going to use today, this is from Dress My Craft, and I've played with it a little bit. I just got this not too long ago, so I'm on the fence about this one. The first one that I got was, when I opened the box, it was in pieces, and scrapbook.com replaced it like really quickly, and no questions asked. I just told them it arrived and it was broken when it got here. But I've never had an edge punch before, and I'm not sure if it's supposed to be like, when you press down on it, you can feel there's like 2 stages. And I'm not sure if that's normal or not. So I'm on the fence about this. We'll see. So the first thing that I'm going to do after scoring everything is put the flaps down and then mount everything and put the pocket down, and yeah. when that stopped recording, but we're all done. So it's going to be a little bit off from one side to the other. I must have cut this one at 4 inches tall and this one at 4.5. But with all the fins in there, that's not going to be obvious. So one of the objectives of this album is to create all the pages so that none of the closures require magnets. And these little flaps will be held in place by tags. And that's probably going to be true for most of the closures for this album. So if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. The next video that we do is going to be fin number 1, and all of the materials that are available for sale will be linked in the description box down below. Bye.